Spoiler alert, this podcast is all about happiness. What gave it away? I'm Fayon Dixon and welcome to Happy Talk. Each week, I will be introducing you to someone that I share a happy connection with. I just believe that we all have happy stories, happy events, and we sit on them. We never share them. So this is the platform for doing it. I work as a presenter, broadcaster, events host. I work with stroke survivors. I have my own children's radio show. And I've been really lucky in the last 20 years to do work where I just ooze happiness. Yeah, I'm one of those people. My cup is eternally overflowing. Sit back, enjoy. It's time for Happy Talk. Hello and welcome to Happy Talk with me, Fayon Dixon. Oh, you know what the slogan is. Say it together now. Good news, good guests, no grief. Yes, indeedy. So right next to me, you can't ignore her. My guest. Oh, yes, the international speaker, the award-winning author, also known as the Impact Guru. It is, of course, Esther Stanhope. Hello, Esther.
Hello, Fayon, how are you?
I'm really, really great. And it's so good to have you on Happy Talk because when it comes to happy, you have so many things in your arsenal. You have
Well, I don't know about that.
a gift. You
I
have a
got the
gift.
song, Happy Talky Talky, Happy Talk.
There was always going
Da-da-da.
to be somebody who started singing that, and you are the first.
No, doesn't everyone start with that?
You are the first, but thank you, thank you. So before we get into hearing all about the happiness that we have between us, I want to share some happy news with you, if that's okay. They're my friends at News from the Rooftop. Is it okay if I share it with you?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so these guys are amazing. They are the home for good news worth shouting about. They run really brilliant campaigns that make a difference and deal with lots of issues where people can feel more empowered and take action for themselves. So I just love what they're doing. So the news that I want to share with you today is that there is a charity dedicated to making our UK roads a lot safer. So there was a funding program, and there is the Road Safety Trust. And this is the largest safety grant in the UK. They give out the most money, and to date, they've actually given out since 2014 £3.7 million to go towards road safety. And that means bringing down the number of people who get injured on the roads and, of course, the fatalities as well. So I love this for two reasons. One, because I moved to a different area a couple of years ago and we got immediately involved with our community, as I did when I used to live in Brixton. And one of the things that they wanted to sort out was the traffic, was the madness of the speed of traffic that goes along the street. And they wanted to have a street party, but they thought we can't do it because the road's too busy. And I went, not impossible. We're going to do this. And last year, on sort of the World Day where they closed the roads, like International No Car Day, we held the most awesome street party. We had kids in the street. I organised the kids event, Pin the Tail on the Donkey, Tin Can Alley, dancing, musical statues, all of that stuff. Which just brings me round to asking you, Esther, do you remember the joy that you used to have where you played on the street when you were a kid?
Gosh, yeah, we used to go out like, oh, we're playing out, you playing out, and you just get your rusty old bike. And we used to have bikes that the whole family would use. So we didn't really have our own bike because you just inherit a bike from the next one. Because I'm one of 6 children. I don't
Oh,
think I ever
wow.
had my own new anything. We'd have these rusty old bikes, and then we'd always have bruises and grazes and where you'd fallen off the bike. I remember at one point I couldn't actually work out how to use the brakes on one of our bikes, so I used to scrape the handlebars along the neighbour's wall to stop myself.
Yes, Esther.
But we used to play out and play ball against the neighbour's house. They didn't like us playing football
Absolutely.
against their wall. But it wasn't that busy. I mean, I actually remember. I'm going to show my age now. I was brought up in Ealing. I was an Esther Dixon living in Ealing, West London.
Oh, Esther
I know we share a name. My maiden name's Dixon, so the Dixon family lived in Ealing, and we had the Rag and Bone Man.
Did
used to
ya?
come up the road, used to go Ragmoon,
Yeah, yeah.
Ragamoon, and we used to take
We'd be like,
stuff out like the old.
bring out your junk, bring out your junk. I
Yeah,
can't
we used to take
remember.
out the old spinner rinse. I mean, who has a spinner rinse? Do you know what a spinner rinse is?
Oh, I know. I heard about it. I don't actually,
Yeah,
but I
but
heard.
it was very much that you're outside, and so the ice cream van comes, the rag and bone man comes, you're
Yeah,
playing on your bikes. You'd leave your bikes just on the pavement,
just
and
drop them. You just drop them and
all
then
the
you find
neighbours up the road, David and Keith, and different families up the road, and yeah, we used to play out, and we don't
them. Yeah.
anymore.
My friends, you're probably the same, they used to come and knock for you. Can Fayon
Yeah,
come out to
you're
play?
coming out. You're
Yeah, you're
coming
coming
out.
out. Off you go. And there was a time where I think I was only 6 and not that old, but
Mm.
everybody in the street knew us. We knew them, they knew us. And Lisa Hayes, I'll never forget her. She was born one day after me, and we were really good friends. We were in the same class at school. And she came from 3 streets up. She's also 6. Walked all that way. Her and her sister came to call for me and said, "Can you come out to play?" And I said, "Mum, I'm going out to play." Now, she just assumed I was going out to play in my street, in my little area. Dropped my bike. It was a yellow and blue bike and it had Pixie on the side. It was my little Pixie bike. Never forget it. Because the bees used to chase me. Yeah, on this thing.
Was this in South London?
No, I'm from Coventry.
Oh, in
Yeah,
Coventry.
Coventry. So I dropped the bike, head up a few streets to Lisa's, and I remember we were playing Kaplunk. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
We were playing Kaplunk and we just got into it. I was there literally 10 minutes and I heard a knock on the door and I heard my mum's voice and I heard her saying, "Is Fayon here?" And Mrs. Hayes said, "Yeah, she's playing inside with Lisa." And she's like, in her nicest voice, "Can she come? It's time for her dinner." And I just like,
Oops.
massive gulp. And she's like, "Okay, thank you, Mrs. Hayes." And I swear I got in so much trouble. But she found me because the neighbours literally said, "Oh, yeah, we saw her go off with a little girl. Oh, I know that little girl. That's Marion Hayes's little one. Oh, where does she live? Cat Martin Road. Dun, 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 dun." And she was on the
Yeah.
door.
Well, it's
So,
not like that anymore, is it?
no,
We don't quite know where people are, who they are, where they live. I mean, actually, I live in Spitalfields, which is it's like a micro bubble. So we're all living in bubbles now, and now I suppose Spitalfields is a bit like it's got its own bubble of a community where there's a few roads where you really do know your neighbours, and because some people have got those old houses, they've had them
yeah.
for years. Like the artists Gilbert and George are my neighbours. I saw them this morning.
Wow.
They were wearing masks, very, very smart suits and face masks. I was with my daughter walking to school and we're like, "Morning, morning." It's like, I know they never, oh, I better not say their address. I was going to say what their address was. Loads of people go there and hang out outside their
They
house.
really?
But there's a bit of a community spirit around where I live, but a lot of the time it's mainly because of the shopkeepers and the stall holders around
Nice.
Spitalfield. So I'm quite lucky that I live in a market area where you've
Yeah.
got stall holders and you've got the security guards. Like, all right, security
Love it.
guards. So, but there again, it's all very controlled, with closed circuit television. But
Mm.
yeah, I think it's really, we have lost that playing out
Yeah.
culture.
Hate that actually, because when we had the kids playing in the street last year in this party, because we couldn't do it this year because of lockdown,
Yeah, yeah,
from little tiny ankle biters to teenagers, we had stalls in the street, cakes, swap shop, and the kids were like, they were like, "Is it okay?" We're like, "Get in the street, get and play. This is what you do." And it was only for one day, but
yeah.
it was
I
so,
love it though. I mean, and lots of people are doing this. They're still doing the street parties. We did it for the
yeah,
Jubilee.
yeah.
Spitalfields had a really good one because the chef Angela Hartnett lives around the corner, and she made homemade cakes and bread. It
Wow.
was the best street party food ever.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
I love street parties. They're great. I think we should do them more often. I think people
Yeah.
are wanting that kind of, let's go back to how it was.
Yeah.
I think people are wanting things like that, wanting more community now. And I think people are making an effort to do events like that.
I mean, I've always been very community focused. No matter where I land, I am the neighbour that knocks on the door. "Hiya." just moved in. Hello, this is me. This is Lawrence. We got da 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 da. Da." And I mean, I ingrained myself immediately. And I think I don't know if it's because unlike you, I'm the only one. So from my mum and dad, I was the only child. So unlike a family of six, it was only me, and so I was super friendly. I made friends with everybody, and just always up and down the street making new friends and bringing them home. And Mum, can Sangeeta come in? Who's Sangeeta? Who are these people? So, yeah, but just being able to play out and be free, and it's where you live. For community, for me, is so, so important. But you shared one thing that you and I already have a connection with, and I didn't actually know it until just recently, and I'm just bowled over because I've been Mrs. Dixon now for 3 years, and I've got used to it very, very quickly. But I still sometimes people call me. Even my mum sometimes called me Miss Cottrell when
Yeah,
she's on the
yeah.
phone to me. Miss Cottrell, what are you doing? Oh, sorry, Mrs. Dixon. So,
Mrs. Dixon, it's so funny because my mum was a teacher at my school and she's Mrs. Dixon. So when you say Mrs. Dixon, I think my mum's a teacher, Mrs. Dixon, because I was never Mrs. Dixon, I was Miss Dixon, so it's funny when you say Mrs. Dixon, so you share the same name as my mum.
that is
And
madness.
then because she was a teacher, it was like Mrs. Dixon, and then all the rude things about Dixon. You can imagine what the
I
rude words are
can
there. So
imagine.
it's quite funny. But it feels very familiar because I'm from the Dixons. My family's the Dixon family.
Wow.
So
And
it's
how long
quite
have you
cool.
not been a Dixon? When did
Yeah,
the
my
change over?
gosh, I've been married for 17 years. So now I'm a Stanhope. So I've been Esther Stanhope for 17 years. That's a
Touching the
long
luck
time.
that I get past 17 years as a Dixon.
I don't know. That's a whole other podcast.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We can do that. We can do that another time. So these are the other happy connections that I have to you. I'm going to just mention the name Phil Dave.
Oh, yes, Phil Dave, our
Lov-
mutual acquaintance friend.
Lovely.
Lovely
Yeah,
producer, talented guy.
yeah. He's going to be on one of these happy talks. Doesn't know it yet, but he's going to be on one of these happy talks.
Well, he's very happy. He's got a permanent smile. That is so cool. I forgot it was Phil that connected us.
Yeah, yeah, he's connected me to so many people. But what he did for us, he said, because I said I wanted to make a sort of a YouTube show about teenagers and issues, and really need some help to get it filmed and stuff. And I'm like, I know who you can speak to, Esther Stanhope. And I'm like, who's Esther Stanhope? And
Oh,
he just got on the phone to you straight away. And you were there immediately, and you said, come on, let's have a phone call. And what you were great at, because I was just really starting out in the world of YouTube and making my own videos,
yeah,
you were like, okay, we're going to condense, basically you're busy, I'm busy. We're going to condense everything down. So you get the people that you want to interview, bam, we're going to do it in a day. So we're going to
yeah,
write six videos in a day, bum, 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 bum. And that's how we did it. And that was really good training for me to learn how to, change clothes and then interview somebody else, and change
yeah.
clothes, change earrings, change rings.
Oh, did we do that? That's so cool. That is, gosh, because I'm thinking back, gosh, I wish I could have met me. I wish I could meet me now
My gosh, I wish I could
to
have met you at
get
20.
me into shape again. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's absolutely what to do. It's about being efficient. Yeah.
yeah. But do you not find that you're very bad at giving yourself advice, but whereas you're really brilliant at giving advice to everybody else?
Well, I've got to say, when I left the BBC to set up my own business, I actually got a business coach, and wow, it was a bit like me coming to help you for a day and going bam, bam, bam. Let's film 6 films. Let's do this. Let's do that. I mean, I had this business coach called Kim Duke, who's from Canada, and she is absolutely. She doesn't, she also she doesn't give you an easy time at all.
Right. And that's what you
And she
want
was like,
that.
right, we're going to do projections, we're going to set you up, we're going to do this, you got to do that, and I was out of my comfort zone. I was so out of my comfort zone, and I
Can't
kind of
imagine that.
needed that kind of mentor stroke, somebody who's almost, what's the word, just somebody to hold you accountable.
Yeah.
Somebody, oh,
Yeah.
have you done that? Okay, this is your target. When next time we speak, you have to have done this, this, and this. And it's
Mm.
whoa. And I've got to say, at the BBC, and now I run my own business, but as a at the BBC, I was a senior producer, and nearly all of my, the beginning of my career, I've been in production. When you run the show, you're making 6 films, you're efficient, you know how to edit, we'll record that, we'll stick that on the end, we'll do that. And when it comes to your own stuff, you don't do it, or you're kind of not that efficient, you're not so focused. So actually the learning point here, and is to actually get help. And it doesn't matter, you don't have to pay somebody necessarily and have a coach. You could just have a friend or somebody that you can
get that feedback.
Bounce ideas off. It's got to be somebody that you trust. It's got to be somebody who's not going to be jealous of you, because it's about finding the right person. And actually, I don't have a business coach right now, but I do get help with other stuff like media marketing. I get help with filming now. I get help with graphics and design and
You
web
can't
stuff.
do everything. You've got to admit that you can't do everything, and you do need that help. And when I met you, you were launching the eyes and teeth, and I just love that so much. And the oomph, you can see it right there in your lovely what do you call that thing? The stand.
Oh, my banner. Yeah, that's a quick fix set design for my mini home filming now. Because I managed to move all of my business, which is helping people to speak, helping them to pitch and all that stuff. I've managed to kind of move it online, which is extraordinary. It's extraordinary how we're now doing everything on video. So if somebody like you, Fayon, it's really good for you to be doing videos and be doing online creative stuff, because that's where we are now. That is the next normal, it's being called. Next normal, because we're never going to go back to the old normal, or even the old new normal. We're now in the next normal.
So can I ask you something then? Because I know that you used to be, not when I met you, but many moons ago, you were a shaky and nervous speaker.
Yes.
So when did it turn around for you then?
Yeah, that's right. And I wasn't comfortable in front of the camera. I was much more comfortable filming and being the other side of the camera going, okay, we're ready, we're going live in 5, 4, 3. Hang on, let me just do that. Action! I like to have my props, right?
You've got to have a prop.
So I am gonna talk about this because I wrote a book about it. It's called Goodbye Glossophobia, Banish Your Fear of Public Speaking. It's got loads and loads of tips about public speaking, about shaking and sweating. And that's, by the way, my designer, Patrick, that's meant to be me. It's me, but the Liechtenstein version of me, the fear picture.
Well, I've been to the book launch, so
yes, of course. Oh, yeah. So the book launch.
I know how.
But listen, the reason why I wrote the book was because not only did I really struggle to get the confidence to stand in front of a camera and in front of an audience, the reason I had to stand in front of an audience and a camera was because when I started helping people, and then they asked me to work with groups of people in business, mainly in banks, in professional services, with law firms and things like that. When I first started running sessions, within a couple of weeks, somebody had said, oh, can you come and speak at the Women's Network? Or can you come and speak here? Or actually, can we run a session for 35? What? 35 people? And I realized, I'm going to have to walk the talk. I'm going to have to do it myself. And I wasn't necessarily a major in public speaking. However, I was talking about confidence, about getting yourself promoted, about being able to speak with confidence. And anyway, I realized I've got to nail this. And in the past, I'd done bits and pieces. I'd done bits of presenting. I've done voiceovers because I've worked in radio, but it wasn't my major thing. My major thing was really producing and bringing it all together. So what I realized was a lot of people I was working with also had the fear.
Yes.
The glossophobia, that they're all looking at me. Oh,
it's the biggest
you can't
thing,
speak.
isn't it?
The words don't come out.
Adults have this fear. And I know from when I go into schools and I speak to young people in these motivational workshops and that, and it's like, right then, so Jenny, come up and just read.
No.
Like, girlfriend,
it's scary.
This is the time to do it, because you don't want to be a 35-year-old woman in front of your boss going, I ain't doing that presentation.
Yeah, but a lot of my clients are that.
Exactly.
But I tell you what, the reason why I wrote the book is because I found so many people were afraid of public speaking, and it held them back. And it also, what I found was you can overcome it, because I overcame it. The reason I tell you how I overcame it, the simple answer to that is you just throw yourself into it. You
Yeah.
throw yourself into it and you put yourself in a position where you are speaking in public, or you are learning words, or whatever it is, in small groups, and they get bigger and bigger. But I just went straight out of my comfort zone and I
Got to
just
do
threw
it.
myself into it. And the more you do it, the more it becomes normal. The more you do it, the more it becomes
Yeah.
normal. The more you avoid it, the worse it gets.
Yes, yes, you're
So that's the
absolutely right.
first thing, is that anyone can do it. But then there's loads of tips on
Yeah.
how to get your mouth around words, about scripts, about, do you use slides, how do you use technology. Like earlier on when you were saying, I don't really want to be fiddling with the technology
Out of fiddle.
while I'm running a session, and it's absolutely right. So you have safety nets, and it's all about what's going to make it easier for you.
It's brilliant.
So yeah,
You're
I
so
mean,
natural at it though. Do you know what I mean? It's like I've been in a room where you've delivered, just as, I'm just there. And you're just so natural. And I think that's what is so brilliant about you. And, that's why I wanted you on my happy talk, because you're more than just the impact guru. You're just a happy being. And people relate to that. Do you know what I mean? People wouldn't
yeah.
buy what you're selling if you didn't have that kind of thing going on about you.
Yeah, I mean, it's taken a long time to be comfortable in front of an audience, and what I realized is, for many years, I hid my light under a bushel. I hid
Yeah.
myself, and then when I start realize, actually, it's public speaking and speaking on camera, it's not really about you and your confidence. It's
No.
it's a lot of it is about sharing,
The
and it's
message.
about having a message, and it's about giving, and it's about, I can help people, or we can have a laugh together. It's
Yeah.
about connecting. There's lots of, it's about a lot of things, but I think we are all afraid,
Yes.
and it is embarrassing. It's embarrassing when people are looking at you. In the beginning, you just get obsessed with this embarrassing, in all your inhibitions, just your inner confidence. I'm a lot of my clients, they go, I hate cameras, don't shine that camera, I hate the camera. And sometimes I say, a camera is like a torch that shines into your inner confidence.
Oh, how does that go down?
Yeah, well, it's true. It is like that, isn't it? A camera's
It's
like,
true.
hello, where's your inner confidence?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
find you out.
Gosh. I mean, it is really great. What you do is good, but I wanted to share something else because I feel there's lots of commonalities that you and I have, and one of the ones that I wanted to flag up is that what most people do in 1 week, you and I can do in a day. Yeah. We will just
Yes.
knock stuff out.
So in other words, we're high functioning
Yeah.
workaholics.
I was just looking, and there's a list. I've always got books. There's one here at my feet. I've got lists. I've got the
Yeah.
post-it notes. I've got the diary. I don't do anything on my phone. I have to write it down, and I love ticking things
Okay,
off.
I've got to show
What
you
have we
something
got?
here. Okay,
What
so
have we
see
got?
this notebook here, right? Look, you can
Yeah,
see my scribbly notes.
yeah,
I write notes, and then I take photographs of them sometimes, and then
yeah,
I put them, I write notes like that, and I take photographs, right?
yeah,
I get through like a book a week.
yeah. I got my.
Yeah.
This is my happy. This is my
And
happy
actually,
book.
I don't know if I should show you this, but
Go on. Good girl. Good
that's
girl.
my wall for
Yeah.
today. Oh no, now I'm
Post-it.
ruining my shot. Ruin my shot. Ruin my shot. Look.
Never far from me. A
Oh,
post.
hang on. My camera's gonna. Oh no, now my camera's playing up. Hang on. That's so funny. Oh, it's gonna
Always got the diary. Always got the diary. Always
Yeah.
got so much going on in the diary. But the reason I wanted to say this is because one of the things that you and I now have in common is that you get up in the morning and you do yoga. Yeah.
Yes.
I get up in the morning and do yoga, and people might go, "Yeah, well, of course you do, because you're really sporty and you're into doing stuff." And it's like, hang on a minute, let me just tell you something about Fayon. I'm very and I love doing things, but I don't want to do something because I have to. I do it because I'm enjoying it. So I got into yoga because I needed to slow down. I needed to have a place where I actually sat down. That's why I'm a Buddhist as well, because I actually sit down and keep my ass quiet for a certain amount of times. Okay, I'm chanting out loud, but the yoga helps to center me and helps me to think, because I am not a good breather. I'm not somebody that breathes very well. I've learned to breathe better, but I'm always just On the go, on the go, on the go. And so I taught my Lawrence, my husband, how to do yoga a few years ago because I was working away, doing some TV presenting, and I'm lazy. I won't do it. But if I'd phone him up in the morning and go, right, and he's like, come on then, let's hit the mat. And we'd do it virtually. He's in London, I'm in Peterborough, and we'd do it together. And that
Yeah.
kept me going. But I can't watch a video or watch somebody on TV do it. I need to drag myself to a class.
Mm,
Um, you know, I don't want, like, if there's something wrong with me, I want to fix it quick.
mm.
Unless I have to do it, I don't want to do it. But you had to start doing yoga. And I must say, I do enjoy it, but I have to make myself do it. But Lawrence is on the mat every morning, no sweat.
I've
But
got
you
to say,
had to
my
make,
neighbour, my neighbour started it up the road on a Thursday, and then she started doing the Zoom sessions on the Thursday morning. So I do tune in on Zoom,
you
and a
do.
whole bunch, and a small group of us still do yoga together, but
That's
on Zoom.
great.
So actually doing it on Zoom or doing it with somebody else, definitely that got me in the routine of doing it at first. I
Yeah.
wouldn't have done it every Thursday if I didn't have a class. And what I realized with that class, and when I worked with Carolyn, my neighbor, it's really good, her class. It's really for people like me that aren't that sporty
Mm.
and a bit creaky in the morning. But what I loved about it was that I started really getting into it, and I started getting quite good at it, and I started understanding more about it. And actually, I used to really dislike yoga because
Mm.
I found yoga made me feel like a failure. In the
Mm.
past, I felt it was quite competitive, and unless you can balance on one finger and one toe,
Yeah,
you're not really good.
not for
Unless you can
you.
put your leg up here and you can tie yourself in a pretzel
And
and
that's not what it's about, is it?
no. And what I realized with this Thursday class is actually yoga is about, it's a whole body, soul, spirit. It's
Mind,
a
body,
whole experience. It's a whole
balance.
holistic experience. And the breathing, and Fayon, I totally agree with you. I have been wound up like a coil, like a whirling dervish, probably my whole life.
Mm.
I've known about being calm. I've known about breathing. I've read books about breathing. I've talked about breathing. Have I actually been breathing? I've been doing shallow breaths, and now I've got this aura ring, right? This is
Oh,
so
yeah.
funny. So it's quite rude sticking my finger up.
Oh,
I'll
I
stick my
say.
finger down.
Thank you.
This ring is like an Apple Watch. This ring actually takes my heart rate, and it monitors
Wow.
my, it's like an Apple Watch. It monitors my exercise, etc.
Smart.
But I can monitor my sleep, my activity. It tells me what my heart rate is. And I will admit to you, it was a genetic disorder, but I did have a heart attack in 2017.
Yeah.
Now, my dad died of a heart attack in 1977. So I kind of knew, I mean, I'm one of six. And so, we're always known as a family that we're probably going to inherit some of the Dixon genes. They're not the same Dixon genes as you, luckily, but some of the Dixon genes in my family are heart related. And I
Mm.
think my dad, from what my mum says, I think he was the sort of person that would push himself. He was a scientist, and I think he was a really
Okay.
motivated, he worked hard, and he pushed himself and pushed himself. He even pushed himself to do sporty stuff as well. Like he'd run, he'd play rugby. And I know when he had his sudden heart attack, he'd run up the steps of the university he was teaching at. It was actually the Regent's College in Regent's Park. He was
Okay.
running up the steps there, and he collapsed
Oh, wow.
at the top of the steps. And the weird thing is it's come back. I've always known about the heart attack in the family. So I've been a relatively healthy eater.
Mm.
I must say, I used to be a social smoker. I don't smoke. I've
Okay.
cut down on the booze. I know that if I don't breathe and get
Mm.
myself into a more calming
Look after this.
mindset,
Mm.
I know that I am in danger of pushing myself too much.
Yeah.
I mean, I take a load of meds now. I had a stent put in.
Yeah.
I had a blocked
Your
artery.
statins now.
Yeah, I take statins. I take a mini cocktail of drugs. And for my age, it's quite rare because most people
You're
expect
only young.
some old person to walk in and go, "Oh, my heart." So, I mean, it's a bit of a shocker. I still find it difficult to slow down. But I think it's interesting what you're talking about is happiness, and you're talking about
Mm.
joy. What gives me joy? What gives me happiness? And when you wrote that, what's the one thing that gives you happiness? it's difficult to answer that one. There's so many things that give me
Well,
happiness. It's a really good question,
I
but
love
it
your
got me
segue.
thinking.
I love the segue that you're helping me with now because we need to move on to your show and tell. So I did ask you to bring something to talk about which brings you happiness or joy, or you have a happy connection to it.
Oh, right. You didn't ask me to bring a prop.
Yeah,
Luckily,
you're
I
the
have got
queen of
one.
props. You're the queen of props.
I know. Well, luckily, I have
I know
got
you
one
can talk.
here.
I know you can
Hey.
talk.
But when I think about what really gives me joy, one of the many things, but the one thing that I think makes me really happy, I love film. I love going to the cinema. I love watching films. My kids are really into it now. My kids are actually much more knowledgeable now than I ever was about actors and who's in what film and the genres and
Okay.
but I love going to the Curzon in Aldgate, which is quite a new cinema,
Oh,
right?
okay.
And they bring you wine. Typical of me, but they bring you wine and food while you're sitting with
Yeah.
little
It sounds
tables.
like our Everyman that we go to.
Yes, it's like every man, exactly like that. One of my favorite things, I think, also because it can include, because when you say, oh, what brings you joy, and you say, oh, my children, they don't bring you joy every day.
Every
But it brings me joy when we all go together and watch a movie. Like it could be something like Deadpool, for example, is a
I
bit of
saw
a
that for the first time recently, actually. I
oh, it's so
cracked
funny.
up.
I
How
mean,
has
I
that
shouldn't
got
really be
by
showing
me?
shouldn't be showing my kids, but when I love watching when we've got all the movie packages, but with lockdown and when we've been stuck at home, one of my favorite things is when we all say, right, we're going to watch something, and I just love the ritual of it. I love the
Yeah.
smell of popcorn. I
Oh,
like the smell of popcorn in the morning.
are you a
I love
sweet or are you salty or you're both together?
do you know what? I like a bit of everything. I will eat. I like nachos. I like chilies.
Oh,
I like
wow.
I like cheese whiz that you dip the nachos in. That's so
You're doing all of
disgusting.
that when you're watching a film?
Oh yeah, well you bring it all in, you can't carry it all, and everyone's like, oh, can you hold that for me? Can you hold that? I mean, I'm being good actually now. Obviously I have a health. I'm
You're being
mindful of my health,
mindful.
so I like to, I don't want to. I like to drink water and eat quite healthy things. But the whole thing about the ritual of the cinema, when you go to a good cinema and it's got that, I like the whole the atmosphere of it, and I love film. So
Mm.
I love all kinds of films, old, new. I mean, obviously, one of my favorite films of all time is Gone with the Wind, and I try
Oh,
and watch that with my daughter, but it's too long because it goes on and on
so long.
forever. But I love all the new films. I mean, even the big, with
Blockbusters.
the blockbusters. Like, so the kids love all the big Marvel films and the Black Panthers and the Spider-Man, all those types of films. Um, I know them all. I've actually watched them more than once, more than twice,
There's
probably
something
more than three
magical.
times.
I feel there's something very magical about going to the cinema and, when you've got all your stuff, you've got
Yeah,
everything you need, you've got your drink, you can hardly carry anything. And I do
yeah,
actually remember dropping my popcorn, a big old popcorn, as I was going through a door in the Ritzy
yeah.
cinema, and everybody turned round and I just
Oh.
edged out and then came back in again. But there was all this popcorn at the doorway, so everybody came coming in.
I've got to
Crunch,
say, who
crunch,
who
crunch.
thought of having popcorn in cinemas? I mean, the people that clean up must be like, why did you decide
Yeah,
to have it? Goes everywhere.
it goes
I mean, afterwards you
absolutely.
find it in your clothes, like
Yeah.
underneath.
Oh yeah, it's everywhere. But there's that magical thing of, you get in, you find your seat and you shuffle in and there's chat and banter before it all gets going. And then there's that magical moment of when you see the name, the title of the film, and then it starts and then there's that hush and
Yeah,
you're in. You're on this journey. And I just love it so much. And
yeah.
I'm so glad you brought this up because my mum used to take me to the cinema from when I was a baby. So I was watching films
Oh,
when I was teeny, teeny, tiny. But yeah, I've got loads of cinema stories, but there's two that I was going to mention. One, she took me, I think, to see Snow White when I was only about 3. And up until, I don't know, only recently, I've not actually seen the Disney Snow White because the witch terrified me so much. My mum had to remove me from the cinema, and I just never got around to watching it again as an adult until recently. But I also remember when I was about 5 or 6 going to the cinema with my best friends and her elder sisters, and they were looking after us. And I can't remember if it was bed knobs and broomsticks or something else, but I was eating a sherbet dib dab, and I laughed so hard it literally came out of my nose and then followed out of my mouth. It was like coming up every orifice.
I think everybody has inhaled a sherbet dib dab at some point.
Had to be removed from the cinema.
I can't believe that they actually sold them. They're so dangerous.
The popcorn gets stuck in your throat. The dib
Popcorn
dab
is
gets stuck in
terrible.
your nose.
So funny. Oh, it's hilarious. But it's amazing now. I mean, the creativity. When my husband works in film now, works in film, so I'm quite close to the industry. But the creativity that goes into film now, and now, I mean, I am a big binger as well when it comes
Are
to
you?
TV series.
I'm not a binger.
I'm a big binger. I mean, it all started with 24 when you could actually watch 24 episodes of 24.
Look
We
at
used to
you.
save them up so we could watch like
Wow.
8 episodes.
Gosh. It
It's
took
so
us a
sad.
year. It took us a year to watch Breaking Bad because
Oh no, oh my
I was
goodness.
in Peterborough and Lawrence was in London, and we would save it for when I would come home.
Oh, that's really nice. You see, it's things like that. You save up your favorite drama. Like I love Billions. Billions is just so funny. It's brilliant. I love the acting in it, and I really love the craft and the creativity. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Harry Potter. But now my daughter's getting into it because her
Yeah,
schoolmates are really into it. But even just the creativity and the acting and all
yeah.
the good
Good
old British
film.
actors. And way back when I started my broadcasting career, I did interview a lot of film stars, and I produced a film show back in the 90s, and I used to do
Which
film
one?
reviews. Oh, it was on Rapture Television when I first worked in television.
Okay.
It was a youth TV channel. It was called Acne, a cinema near you. And I actually did put together all the I knew every single film that was out and which ones
Brilliant.
were coming out. But nowadays with the
Can't keep up.
everyone knows what's coming out. I mean, it's amazing now how you can get hold of all the latest films on
Everything.
Amazon, Apple,
Yeah.
Netflix,
But
etc.
you know what I
But I
used to
do miss the
love?
cinema when we have
Yes.
lockdowns. I do miss being able to actually physically go to the cinema. But
Yeah.
I try and set up a viewing experience at home if we
Yeah.
can.
We when the lockdown came off, we scurried off and off we went to the cinema. We had a really great time. But what I used to love about back in the day, showing my age as well, was when a film used to come out and that's all anybody could talk about. Because only one film
Go
came
on, which was
at a
yours
time.
then?
Oh, well,
What was your big film?
Back to the Future came out and we lost our minds. We lost our minds. The queue to the ABC was literally weaving through Coventry and we stood in it for hours and hours. You couldn't pre-book your ticket then. You just
Yeah,
had
and
to
Back to the
get in line.
Future.
And
I do
that was a
remember
whole
that.
thing. That was a whole
One
thing.
of the first films I ever saw that I can remember was Star Wars, but I was
Oh.
so young. All I remember is it was dark when we came out, and I don't think I understood the story. There again, I don't think I understand the story now. But maybe that took me on the road to. It was when the writing comes up at the
Yes.
beginning, and the music. I mean, film
Iconic.
music. I love John
Absolutely.
Williams's music. I just love Hans Zimmer. I love everything. I love the craft of the
Yeah.
music and the way that it's layered. And actually, my husband Adam's working on a film now, and he's working with a musical director. And the conversations about how you integrate the music and the themes, it's
Mm,
amazing. I
so
love that.
clever.
So
So
I just, so what gives me joy? Just sitting back, like I do the voiceover,
go on.
sit back, relax, no nose picking. The movie is about to start.
Ba, 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 ba. What was the music? Oh, Pearl
Ba
and
ba
Dig.
ba 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 ba.
And on that note, Esther
Yes,
Stanhope, ex Dixon, it's
ex
been
Dixon.
yes, it's been a wonder to have you on Happy Talk. Thank you so much for being a guest.
Thank you.
It's been brilliant.
Namaste.
Namaste, Namyo Horenge Kyo, my pet. So, whatever you're doing for the rest of the day, I know you'll give it plenty of oomph, and it would just be fantastic. You're running, I know, to something else magnificent. I just have a feeling that you've got something else wedged in close after me, and then after that, and after that. But look after yourself and look after your heart, please.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. How wonderful to have Esther on Happy Talk. Absolutely so full of oomph and go. it's just brilliant to have her. So thank you so much, Esther. Now it's time for your happy happenings. Now, this happy happening comes from a young man called Jeremy, and it's all about his proposal to his girlfriend Nikki, but what it took to get proposed. So I've got it here on my messages. So she's from London, he's from New Zealand, and they met here. And he's always wanted to go back. He's had a great job, but he's always wanted to go back. And he had the opportunity to start a new job in New Zealand, but there wasn't any urgency until the pandemic started and lockdown on UK borders was starting, and they had to make a decision quick. So they packed up everything within a matter of days and took probably one of the last planes out of the UK to New Zealand, not really knowing if Nikki was going to be able to, stay or what was going to happen at immigration, but they just had to take a chance. And so they did. And it all worked out. So they got out of Dodge and they are now living in New Zealand. He started his new job. She's doing some wonderful podcasts. She does some wonderful work with regards to helping people win at work. And it's all going really well. They've recently bought a house and all is going well. But what I wanted to share, which is so gorgeous, is his proposal. Because you always hear from the girls, don't you, about how the proposal went. But just hearing from him just made my heart melt. So they are planning, or rather, he was planning to have a trip to somewhere called Tekapo, and they were going to go to an astrophotography tour in Mackenzie Dark Sky Reserve. Now, this place is supposed to be absolutely beautiful, but unfortunately, there was a storm. And so the place got closed down and they couldn't do that. He wanted this kind of amazing starstruck night. But they had their bottle of Veuve Clicquot, so all was well. So he started, they were on the beach, they had a fire, and the sky was gorgeous. So put another log on the fire, and as he bent down to put that log on the fire, he bent down and proposed to Nikki. And after the initial shock, she did say yes. The elements were braved. They did some stargazing afterwards, and they've sent me some pictures which are absolutely gorgeous, which I won't share because it's private to them. But it's just gorgeous to see that, with all the sort of uncertainty of moving miles and miles and miles away and, not knowing that it was all going to work out, it absolutely did. So thank you, Nikki and Jeremy, for sharing your happiness in the happy happenings. And of course, you can share with me your happy happenings here as well by sending me an email to happytalkwithfayondixon@gmail.com. So just again to thank my guest Esther, the guru with so much oomph. And I will be back next week with another guest and more happy happenings. All the good news, good guests, and no grief happening right here on Happy Talk.